lovelies, welcome back to my channel. So this is part 2 of the, it didn't really have a name, but we'll call it the, I don't even know. The story about the grandmother who accidentally summons a demon who becomes Tod. And I was looking at the viewfinder and I'm so sorry, I'm looking at you guys now. So the grandmother actually accidentally summons a demon who she thinks is her grandson Tod. For any of those of you who haven't seen this story, then I will leave a link somewhere, probably in the description, as well as somewhere on the screen. Go watch that and then come back here and watch this one. Or if you have already seen it, then let's continue. So there's a few more comments. It's a Tumblr post, so there's a few more comments. One says, "That's so sweet, it made me want to hug someone." There's a picture. And then it continues on. People write more comments about what they think should happen or what they think would happen. And then somebody actually writes like an ending, which is so sweet. So I'm gonna read those comments, and then I'm gonna, read the ending, and you guys can tell me what you think. Okay, but she takes him to a little cafe and all the people in her town are like, "What is that thing? What the hell? Annette?" She didn't have a name before this point. And she's like, "Don't you remember my grandson Tod?" And the entire town just plays along because no one has the heart to tell Annette that her grandson is an actual demon, because this is the happiest she has been since her husband died. Bonus, season 4, she makes him run for mayor and he wins. The next post says, "Just want to watch Tod help her with the groceries, and help her with the cooking, and help her with the cleaning and the dusting around the house, and air it out. Felt it was spring flowers because Annette mentioned she loved, I don't know, something in daffodils, flowers. I'll leave it here." Over the season, her eyesight worsens, so Tod brings a hellhound into the house to act as her seeing eye dog, and the people in town are kind of terrified of this massive black brute with her fur that drips like thick oil, and the mouth that can open all the way up to its chest. But Honey likes her hard candies and doesn't get oil on the carpet. And then Tod has to go back to hell for errands. Honey will snuggle up to Annette and rest his giant head on her lap, and woof in her pockets for butterscotch. Annette gives Tod her soul, but she never gives him her heart. Alright, this is the ending. This is the bit that wraps it all up, and it's so good. Alright, in season 6, Annette gets sick. She spends most of the season bedridden, and it becomes obvious about midway through the season that she's not going to make it to the end of the season. Tod spends the season traveling back and forth between the human realm and his home plane, trying to find anything that will help Annette get better, to prolong her life. He's tried getting her to sell him her soul, but she just laughs. Told him that he shouldn't talk like that. With only a few episodes left in the season, Annette passes away. Tod is by her side. When the Reaper comes for her, Tod asks about the fate of her soul. In a dispassionate voice, the Reaper informs Tod that Annette has spent the last few years of her life coverting with the creatures of darkness, and there will only be one fate for her. Tod refuses to accept this and fights the Reaper, eventually injuring the creature and driving it off. Knowing that Annette cannot stay in the human realm and refusing to allow her spirit to be taken by another Reaper, he takes her soul in his arms. He's done this before when mortals have sold themselves to him. This time the soul cradles against his chest and does not struggle and fight. This time, the soul held tight against him reaches out, pats him on the cheek, and tells him he was a good boy, and so handsome, just like his grandfather. Tod takes Annette back to the demon realm, holding her tight against him as he travels across the bleak and forbidding plain. Such a sharp contrast to the rosy warmth of Annette's home. Eventually, in a far corner of his home plane, Tod finds what he is looking for. It is a place where other demons do not tread, a large boulder cracked and broken, with a gap just barely big enough for Tod to fit through. This crack, of all things, gives him a pause, but Annette's soul makes the comment about needing to get home in time to feed Honey, and Tod forces himself to pass through it. He travels in darkness for a while before he emerges into a light so bright that it is blinding. His eyes adjust slowly and he finds himself face to face with two creatures, each of them at least twice his size, One of them has 6 wings and the head of a lion, and one of them is an anamorphous creature with several rings. Amorphous, not anamorphous. My bad. The lion-headed one snarls at Tod and demands that he turn back, that he has no business here. Tod looks down, holding Anette's soul against his chest, and takes a deep breath and speaks a single word. Please. The 2 larger beings are taken aback by this. They are too used to Tod's kind being belligerent. They consult with each other, they argue. The amorphous one seems to want to be lenient, and the lion-headed one insists on being stricter. While they are arguing, Tod sneaks by them and runs as fast as he can deeper into the brightly lit expanse. The path on which he travels begins to slope upward and eventually becomes a staircase. It becomes evident that each step further up the stair is more and more difficult for Tod, that it's physically paining him to climb these stairs, but he keeps going. They dedicate a full episode to this climb, interspersing the climb with scenes they weren't able to show in previous seasons. Annette and Honey coming to visit Tod in the mayor's office, Annette and Tod playing bingo together for the first time, Annette and Tod watching their stories together in mid-afternoon, Annette falling asleep in her chair, and Tod gently carrying her to the bed, Annette making Tod lemonade in the summer while he's up on the roof fixing the leak and cleaning out the rain gutters. Eventually Tod reaches the top and all but collapse. He falls to a knee, and for the first time his grip on Annette's soul slips, and she falls away from him, landing on the ground. He reaches out for her, but something gets there first. Another hand reaches out and helps the elderly woman off the ground, helps her to her feet. Annette gasps, "It's Charles." The pair of them throw their arms around each other. Annette tells Charles that she's missed him so much, and that she has so much to tell him. Charles nods. Tod watches, a soft smile on his face. A delicate hand touches Tod's shoulder and pulls him easily to his feet. A figure, we never see exactly what he looks like, leans down, whispering in Tod's ear that he's done well and that Annette will be taken care of here, that she will spend an eternity with her loved ones. Tod looks back over to her. She's surrounded by a sea of people. Tod nods and smiles. The figure behind him tells him that he has done good by bringing Annette here. This is not his place. He must leave. Tod nods. He knew this would be the case. Tod gets about 6 steps down the staircase before he is stopped by someone grabbing his shoulder again. He turns around, and Annette is standing behind him. She gives him a big hug and leads him back up the stairs. He should stay, she says. Get to know the family. Tod tries to tell her that he can't stay, but she won't hear it. She leads him up to a crowd of people and begins introducing him to long-dead relatives of her, all of whom give him skeptical looks as she introduces him as her grandson. The mysterious figure appears next to Tod again and tells him once more he must leave. Tod opened his mouth to answer, but Annette cuts him off. "Nonsense," she tells the figure. "If she's going to stay here forever, then her grandson will be welcome to visit her." She and the figure stare at each other for a moment. The figure eventually sighs and looks away, and the figure asks Tod if she's always like this. Tod just shrugs and smiles, allowing Annette to lead him through a pair of pearly gates. She's already talking to him about how much cake they'll need to feed all of these relatives. It's so sweet. Oh, somebody says, "P.S. Honey is a good dog and gets to go too." Another one says, the last lines of the show. "Demon, you're not blind here, but you're not surprised. When?" Annette. "Oh, Toddy, don't be silly. My biological grandson's not 12 feet tall and doesn't scorch the furniture when he sneezes. I've known for ages." Demon. "Then why?" Annette. "You wouldn't have stayed if you weren't lonely too." Demon. You don't have to keep calling me your grandson." Annette. "Nonsense. Adopted children are just as real. Now quit sniffling, you silly boy. Let's go bake a cake. Honey, heel, honey. Woof." It's such a cute story and I love it so much, and I'm glad I was able to share it with you guys too. But that's the ending to our story, and if you enjoyed it, then give it a big thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, I do fictional readings like that, I do personal storytelling, and I'm hoping to do challenges in the future. But if you want to see more videos like this, then go ahead and subscribe. And if you have any ideas for stories that I should read, or questions you want to ask, or anything that you want to let me know, then go ahead and leave that down in the comments below. And I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you. Bye.